If you own an RV, here's a cold weather fact that's easy to overlook. Every time the temperature drops 10 degrees, you lose about 1 psi of tire pressure. 1 psi might not sound like much, but across 8 tires on a motorhome, or 4 on a trailer, that drop adds up fast. Underinflated tires change how your rig handles, how it stops, how it wears out rubber, and how much fuel it burns. And if you don't check your pressure before driving in cold weather, you could be starting every winter trip already behind. In this episode of RV Pro Hacks, we're diving into what cold weather really does to your tires, why it happens, how to manage it, and a few traction tricks that'll help keep you safe on snow and ice. Here's the quick science lesson nobody tells you when you buy an RV. Air pressure isn't constant. It expands when it's warm and contracts when it's cold. That means the air inside your tires is constantly changing volume with the weather outside. If you filled your tires in July when it was 80 degrees and now it's 20 degrees out, you've lost roughly 6 psi without a single leak. That pressure loss might not seem huge, but it has real consequences. Low tire pressure creates more rolling resistance. More resistance means more heat, and heat is the #1 enemy of a tire's internal structure. When a cold, underinflated tire starts to flex under load, it builds heat unevenly, and that's how you end up with blowouts or tread separation, especially on heavy fifth wheels and motorhomes. You'll also notice it in your fuel mileage. Even being 4 or 5 pounds low on a set of dually tires can cost you 1 to 2 miles per gallon, which adds up fast when you're pushing a big rig through mountain grades. Checking tire pressure in winter isn't complicated, but timing matters. You always want to check cold tire pressure, meaning before you've driven more than a mile, and ideally before the sun hits your tires. As soon as the rubber warms up from rolling friction or sunlight, the air inside expands and gives you a false reading. The best time to check is first thing in the morning, before moving the RV. Use a quality digital or analog gauge rated for at least 120 psi. If you're using a portable compressor, let it run long enough to equalize pressure across duals. And never rely solely on those little valve stem indicators. They're convenient, but they're not accurate enough for winter use. To find the correct pressure, check the label on your RV's door jamb or inside your owner's manual. That number is based on the cold inflation pressure, which assumes about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So when temps drop below freezing, you may need to add a few extra pounds to stay within range. Let's say your tires are supposed to be at 80 psi cold. If you check them on a morning when it's 20 degrees outside and your gauge reads 74, that's perfectly normal. The trick is not to panic. Just bring them back up to spec for the current conditions. You can safely add air in the cold. When temps warm up again, the pressure will rise slightly, but not enough to cause damage. If you're storing your rig long-term in winter, go ahead and inflate to the upper limit of the manufacturer's cold range, usually 1 or 2 psi above normal, to offset the seasonal drop. And if you're parked for weeks, roll the RV a few feet forward or backward every few weeks to prevent flat spots from forming where cold rubber sits compressed. When your RV sits through the winter, tire care often gets overlooked. And that's when damage happens quietly. Cold air combined with inactivity lets moisture accumulate inside the tire, especially if your valve caps are missing or loose. That moisture can corrode internal steel belts or sensor stems, so always keep metal valve caps tight. Plastic caps crack in the cold and let condensation sneak in. If your rig has a tire pressure monitoring system, double-check the batteries before winter storage. TPMS sensors often fail from low voltage in the cold. A simple maintenance checklist goes a long way. Keep tires off bare concrete if possible, using wood or rubber pads. Avoid parking with one side on frozen ground and the other in sun, because uneven temperatures stress sidewalls. And cover the tires. UV rays are still damaging, even in winter. Now let's talk traction, because even with perfect PSI, cold tires behave differently. Rubber compounds harden when temperatures drop, meaning less flexibility and less grip on the road surface. Your stopping distance increases, and the trailer or motorhome doesn't respond as predictably when you brake or steer. The fix is tread depth and tire type. For winter travel, make sure your tread is at least 6/32 deep. Anything shallower won't bite into slush or snow. If you're a full-timer traveling through mountain states, consider all-terrain or winter-rated tires on your tow vehicle or motorhome drive axle. They're built with softer compounds that stay pliable in cold air. And don't forget about chains. Many states require them in winter mountain passes, and not every RV tire can safely run them. Check your owner's manual before buying, and practice installing them once when it's warm, because you don't want your first attempt happening at midnight in a snowstorm. Driving technique matters too. In cold weather, avoid sudden throttle or braking inputs. Give yourself more room to stop and use your transmission to help control downhill speed instead of riding the brakes. Remember, once traction is gone, no amount of ABS or trailer brake control will get it back. Here's a quick reference you can keep in mind. Every 10-degree drop equals roughly 1 PSI lost. At 70 degrees, you're at baseline. At 50 degrees, you're down about 2. At 30 degrees, about 4. At 10 degrees, about 6. So if you inflated your tires to 70 PSI in summer and you're camping in 20-degree weather, you're probably sitting around 64 PSI right now. That's enough to make your trailer sway more, heat your sidewalls faster, and shorten your tire life dramatically. Add air now and save a headache later. Let's connect the dots on what that pressure really means behind the wheel. Underinflated tires flex more at the sidewall, and that extra flex changes how weight transfers during turns or crosswinds. On a fifth wheel, it can cause sway when the sidewalls roll under. On a motorhome, it can make steering feel mushy or delayed. And on a travel trailer, it amplifies bounce and uneven braking. Meanwhile, overinflation, the other extreme, reduces your tire's contact patch and traction. You'll feel it as a harsher ride and weaker braking grip on slick surfaces. That's why the goal isn't more air equals safer. The goal is proper air, matched to the tire's load rating and the temperature you're driving in. If you want to go one step further, weigh your rig at a certified CAT scale and use the manufacturer's load inflation table. That lets you dial PSI to the actual weight each axle carries, especially useful if you're loaded heavy on one side with gear or water tanks. Now, a few myths worth clearing up. Myth 1. I'll just check pressure at the gas station. Those gauges are often 10 PSI off and affected by compressor heat. Always use your own gauge. Myth 2. Tires automatically warm up to the right pressure once I'm driving. True, but that doesn't mean they're safe. They heat unevenly, and by the time pressure normalizes, the damage from flexing has already started. Myth 3. Nitrogen-filled tires don't lose pressure in the cold. False. They lose slightly less, but temperature still affects them. Physics doesn't care what gas you use. Here's a real-world example. On a Class A diesel motorhome, the front tires are set to 105 PSI at 70 degrees. After sitting overnight at 25 degrees, those same tires measure 98. That's a 7 PSI drop, enough to change the tire's shape under load by nearly half an inch at the contact patch. After an hour of highway driving, the air expands back to 103 PSI. But that first few miles created 20 degrees of extra heat in the sidewall. That's the exact scenario that leads to premature cracking and tread wear. It's why cold morning checks matter, even if you're only driving across town. Cold weather doesn't just challenge your plumbing and batteries. It challenges your tires too. A few pounds of pressure can be the difference between a smooth trip and a roadside blowout. So before you hit the highway this winter, grab your gauge, check those numbers cold, and make sure your rig is ready for whatever the thermometer throws at it. If this helped you out, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to RV Pro Hacks for more practical tips that keep your RV safe, warm, and road ready, no matter the season. I'm Kyle, and we'll see you next time.